Captain Lee Jiwan stood in the massive orbital shipyard above Earth, staring at the collection of metal hulks floating before him. These were supposed to be warships. Instead, they looked like floating scrapyards. Rust covered their hulls like a disease. Holes gaped where weapons once sat. Some ships were missing entire sections. "These are your new vessels," said Gorthak, the Valdari alien who had negotiated the sale. The slug-like creature's voice dripped with barely hidden contempt. "Very generous price for such vintage ships." Jiwan clenched his fists but kept his face calm. 5 years had passed since the aliens first arrived at Earth. 5 years of being treated like children who needed guidance from their wise alien betters. The Valdari, Thraxians, and other galactic powers had made it clear where humans stood in the cosmic order. At the bottom. "These ships served the Valdari fleet for 3 centuries, Gorthak continued, his translator making his words sound even more condescending. "Perfect for peaceful exploration and light defense, very suitable for a developing species." Engineer Park Min-ho walked around one of the smaller cruisers, running his hands over the corroded hull. He had to wear gloves because the metal was so degraded it would cut skin. "Sir," he whispered to Jiwan, "half these ships shouldn't even be in space. The hull integrity is compromised on most of them." Admiral Kim Sora watched the entire exchange from the observation deck. Her dark eyes burned with quiet fury. She had commanded Earth's finest ships during the resource wars, back when humanity fought only itself. Now she had to smile and thank aliens for selling them garbage. The truth was simple and brutal. Humanity needed these ships no matter how worthless they seemed. The galaxy was not a safe place. Pirates raided human colonies regularly. Alien corporations used human workers, like disposable tools. The major powers saw Earth as a source of cheap labor and raw materials, nothing more. "The payment has been transferred," Admiral Sora said, her voice perfectly controlled. 200 tons of rare earth metals and exclusive mining rights to the Kepler system. Gorthak's slug-like features twisted into what might have been a smile. "Excellent. The Valdari Consortium appreciates human cooperation." He paused, letting the word hang in the air like an insult. "These ships will serve you well once you learn to operate them properly." After the aliens left, the real work began. Jiwan assembled his best people in the main conference room of the shipyard. The view outside showed dozens of corroded alien hulks floating like dead whales in space. "Report," Jiwan said simply. Park Min-ho activated a holographic display showing detailed scans of the ships. "It's worse than it looks, sir. The power systems are ancient. The weapons are mostly removed or damaged beyond repair. Life support barely functions. Most of these ships would kill their crews if we tried to use them as they are." "But?" Jiwan asked, hearing something in Minho's voice. "But the basic designs are sound. More than sound, actually. The aliens use incredibly robust engineering. These ships were built to last forever, not to be efficient." Minho highlighted various systems on the display. "Look at these power conduits. They're 10 times thicker than they need to be. The structural supports could handle forces way beyond what the engines can produce." Dr. Choi Hyerin, Earth's leading expert on alien technology, leaned forward. "Minho is right. The Valdari build for longevity, not performance. Every system has massive redundancy. It's like they're afraid to push their technology to its limits." "What are you thinking?" Admiral Sora asked. Hyerin smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'm thinking the aliens made a mistake. They assumed we would just patch these ships and use them as they are. They never considered that we might rebuild them completely." Master Chief Yang Taiho, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "My teams can strip these hulks down to the bare frames, start fresh with the basic structure but human engineering throughout. That would take years," Jiwan pointed out. "Maybe," Yang replied. "But we've got something the aliens don't." "What's that?" "Motivation. These aliens look down on us. They think we're primitives who should be grateful for their scraps. Every human in this shipyard wants to prove them wrong." Commander Ryu Nari had been studying the tactical systems. "The weapons placement is all wrong for our combat doctrine. The aliens fight like they're conducting ceremonies. Everything is about showing power, not using it effectively. We could redesign these ships to fight the way humans fight. Which is? Sora asked. To win, Nari said simply. Fast, brutal, efficient. The aliens have never faced an enemy that adapts and improves constantly. Over the following weeks, work crews swarmed over the alien hulks. Yang's teams began the massive task of stripping away centuries of alien modifications and additions. What they found underneath surprised everyone. The basic Valdari ship design was incredibly solid. The hull construction used advanced materials that could withstand enormous stress. The frame was over-engineered to the point where it could support much more powerful engines and weapons than the originals. Dr. Hiren's research teams worked around the clock to understand every component. The aliens used quantum resonance chambers for power generation. Their faster-than-light drives manipulated space-time itself. Their defensive systems created energy barriers that could stop most attacks. But everything was built with an alien mindset. The power systems were designed to last forever, not to produce maximum output. The weapons were meant to intimidate, not to destroy quickly. The defensive systems were built to endure long battles of attrition. It's like they've forgotten how to wage real war, Hiren explained to the command staff. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, but they use it like museum pieces. They're so afraid of damaging their precious ships that they've forgotten how to fight. Jiwan walked through the main construction bay, watching human engineers tear apart alien technology and rebuild it according to human principles. Sparks flew from welding torches. Heavy machinery moved hull sections into new configurations. The sound of construction filled the air like a metallic symphony. Sir, Minho approached with a datapad. We've found something interesting in the main reactor design. Show me. Minho led him to where a team was working on the largest ship's power core. The aliens use a cascade system that steps down the energy output to safe levels. Multiple redundant systems, automatic shutoffs, conservative power curves. And if we remove the safety systems and redesign the energy distribution, we could increase power output by 300%, maybe more. Jiwan stared at the massive reactor core. Would it be safe? Probably not by alien standards, but humans have always been willing to accept risk for advantage. As months passed, the first ship began to take shape. The hull had been completely rebuilt with human-manufactured armor plating. New weapon mounts bristled along the sides. The engine section glowed with the light of a redesigned reactor core. Admiral Sora stood beside Jiwan as they watched the final systems come online. What should we call her? Jiwan thought for a moment. Indomitable, because that's what we are. The ship that emerged from the human shipyards bore almost no resemblance to the corroded Valdari hulk they had started with. It was sleek where the original had been bulky. It radiated power where the original had seemed tired and worn. Think it will work? Sora asked. It better, Jiwan replied, because the galaxy is about to learn that humans don't stay down when you try to keep us there. In the depths of space, alien observers monitored human activity with mild interest. The major powers had written off humanity as another servile species, useful for labor, but no threat to galactic order. They would soon learn how wrong they were. 18 months had passed since the humiliating purchase of the alien scrap ships. The Luna shipyards now buzzed with activity that would have amazed the Valdari who sold those rusted hulks to humanity. Dr. Choi Heron stood in her laboratory, surrounded by pieces of alien technology that her team had taken apart, studied, and improved. The power distribution system is completely backwards, she explained to Admiral Kim Sora, who had come to review their progress. The Valdari route power through 17 different safety systems before it reaches the main engines. Each system reduces efficiency by 8 to 12%. Sora examined the holographic display showing the alien power grid. Why would they design it that way? Fear, Yaren said simply. They're terrified of their own technology. Every system has backups for the backups. They'd rather have a weak, safe ship than a powerful, risky one. In the main construction bay, Master Chief Yang Taiho directed teams of human engineers as they rebuilt the first ship from the inside out. The work never stopped. 3 shifts rotated through the shipyard every day, each crew pushing to outdo the others. "Chief," called Engineer Park Minho from inside the ship's reactor compartment. "We've got the new power core ready for testing." Yang climbed through the narrow passage to where Minho's team had been working. The reactor core looked nothing like the original Valdari design. Where the alien version had been a bulky, overprotected cylinder, the human modification was sleek and efficient. "Will it work?" Yang asked. "Better than work. We've calculated a 400% increase in power output. The aliens were only using a fraction of what their technology could produce." Yang whistled low. 400%. That's enough to power weapons and shields the aliens never dreamed of. The truth was that humans approached alien technology with a completely different mindset. Where the aliens saw delicate, precious systems that needed protection, humans saw robust, over-engineered components that could be pushed far beyond their original limits. Commander Ryunari had spent months redesigning the weapon systems. She stood in the tactical center, studying displays that showed her new weapon configurations. The original Valdari setup was designed for show, not effectiveness, she told her staff. Big, impressive energy beams that looked scary, but didn't do much damage. "What's our approach?" asked Lieutenant Oh Jinwoo, one of her best tactical officers. "Concentrated firepower. Multiple smaller weapons that can focus on single targets. Instead of trying to scare the enemy, we destroy them quickly and move on to the next target." The aliens had mounted their weapons for maximum visual impact. Huge energy cannons that fired slow, dramatic beams across space. It looked impressive, but wasted enormous amounts of energy and gave enemies time to respond. Nari's human weapons were different. Rapid-fire plasma cannons that could punch through shields in seconds. Missile systems that deployed multiple warheads, each one capable of independent targeting. Kinetic weapons that used the ship's incredible new power output to accelerate. Simple metal slugs to devastating speeds. Dr. Hiran's research had uncovered something even more interesting than improved weapons. "The aliens have been using the same basic designs for over 1,000 years, she reported to the senior staff. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but they never change anything. They're stuck in patterns they established centuries ago." "Why?" Admiral Sora asked. "Politics, tradition, fear of change. Their entire civilization is built on the idea that the old ways are the best ways. They improve things gradually, very carefully, over hundreds of years." Captain Lee Ji-won, who would command the first rebuilt ship, understood the implications immediately. "They've never faced an enemy that innovates quickly." Exactly. Human military doctrine has always been about adaptation. We study our enemies, learn their weaknesses, and develop counters. The aliens don't think that way. The work continued day and night. Human engineers took apart every system on the alien ships and rebuilt them according to human specifications. Life support systems became more efficient and reliable. Navigation computers were reprogrammed with human software that could calculate faster, more accurate courses. Most importantly, the armor was completely redesigned. The aliens used energy shields as their primary defense, with the hull serving mainly as a backup. The human approach was different. They kept the alien shields but added layers of physical armor that could stop projectiles the shields missed. "Redundancy," Yang explained to his crews. "The aliens trust their shields completely. We trust nothing completely. Every system has a backup, and every backup has a backup." The first ship to emerge from the human reconstruction was designated Indomitable. When the construction teams finally finished their work, even they were amazed by what they had created. The hull gleamed with new earth-forged alloys that were stronger and lighter than the original Valdari materials. Weapon ports lined the sides in carefully calculated patterns that would allow maximum firepower to focus on any target. The engine section hummed with power that the original designers never intended. But the most important changes were invisible. The ship's computer systems had been completely replaced with human-designed networks that could process information and make decisions faster than any alien system. The crew quarters were configured for human psychology and physiology, not alien comfort. "She's beautiful," Ji-won said as he toured his new command for the first time. "She's more than beautiful. Minho replied. She's deadly. This ship could take on a dozen alien vessels and win. The Valdari had sent an observer to monitor human progress. Observer Vorth Ka had expected to see the humans struggling to repair their generous gift of obsolete warships. Instead, he watched, in growing alarm as the humans tore apart perfectly good alien technology and rebuilt it according to their own bizarre specifications. The humans are modifying the ships, he reported to his superiors via quantum communication. They have completely redesigned the power systems, weapons, and defensive arrays. Are they damaging the technology? Came the reply from the Valdari homeworld. Unknown. Their modifications appear functional, but they violate every principle of safe engineering. They have removed most safety systems and increased power output to dangerous levels. Typical primitive behavior. Monitor their progress and report any failures. But Vorthka was beginning to suspect that the humans might not fail. Their approach to technology was completely alien to Valdari thinking, but it seemed to work. The ships emerging from human shipyards looked more powerful than anything in the Valdari fleet. Admiral Sora stood on the observation deck, watching as the Indomitable conducted its first powered test. The ship's engines glowed brighter than any Valdari drive ever had. Its weapons charged faster than should have been possible. Its shield stabilized at energy levels that made the monitoring equipment flash warning signals. "Are we pushing too hard?" she asked Dr. Hyerin. "Probably, but that's always been the human way. We push until something breaks, then we fix it and push harder. And if we're wrong? If these modifications fail in combat?" Hyerin smiled grimly. "Then we'll learn from our mistakes and build better ships. That's what humans do. We learn, we adapt, we improve. The aliens have forgotten how to do that." Captain Jiwan took command of the Indomitable on a cold morning when Earth's sun cast long shadows across the lunar construction yards. His crew of 200 humans had trained for months on simulators, learning to operate systems that were part alien technology, part human innovation. "All stations report ready," announced Lieutenant Shin Ariam from the weapons console. "Engineering shows green across the board," Minho called from his station. "Take us out," Jiwan ordered. The Indomitable moved away from the shipyard with grace that surprised even its builders. The hybrid drive system pushed the massive ship through space with smooth acceleration that the original Valdari engines could never have achieved. Observer Vorthka watched the human ship depart with a growing sense of unease. Something had changed in the 18 months since the Valdari sold those old ships to humanity. The humans had taken garbage and transformed it into something that looked genuinely threatening. He filed another report with his superiors, recommending increased surveillance of human activities. But his warnings would be ignored, filed away, among hundreds of routine reports from across the galaxy. The major powers were too busy with their own concerns to worry about a primitive species learning to modify old technology. It was a mistake that would soon cost them dearly. The Indomitable headed toward the edge of the solar system, carrying with it the hopes and determination of an entire species. Behind it, the Luna shipyards continued their work, preparing more human ships for a galaxy that had no idea what was coming. The emergency signal reached the Indomitable while Captain Lee Jaiwan was reviewing crew reports in his quarters. The sharp beeping of the communication system cut through the quiet hum of the ship's engines like a knife. "Captain, to the bridge," came the urgent voice of Lieutenant Oh Jinwoo. "We're receiving a distress call from Kepler 442b. Jiwan was on the bridge in less than 2 minutes. The main display showed the Kepler system, with the mining colony on the fourth planet highlighted in pulsing red. "Report," he ordered. "Rakashi pirates, sir," Jinwoo explained. "At least 6 ships attacking the mining settlement. They've already landed ground forces and are taking hostages." Jiwan studied the tactical display. The Rakashi were one of the galaxy's persistent problems. The galactic powers tolerated their raids as a natural hazard, like cosmic storms or asteroid impacts. Officially, the pirates were conducting cultural preservation activities, and interfering with them violated interstellar law. "Sir," Communications Officer Kim Daeho spoke up, "there's a Valdari patrol ship already in the system. The serene. Current. Have they responded to the distress call? They're maintaining position at the edge of the system. No sign of intervention. Jiwan felt his jaw tighten. The Valkyrie ship was more than capable of driving off the pirates, but they wouldn't act. The galactic powers had their laws and procedures, their careful balance of interests that kept them from taking risks. Communications. Get me Captain Vorth-Ka of the Serene Current. The main screen flickered and showed the slug-like features of the Valdari captain. Vorth-Ka's translator rendered his words in the typical condescending tone all aliens seemed to use with humans. Captain Jiwan, I trust you are not planning to interfere with the situation on Kepler 442b. Those are human colonists being attacked. The Rakashi are conducting legitimate cultural activities. Galactic law prevents intervention in such matters. I recommend you maintain distance and allow the situation to resolve naturally. Naturally? Jiwan couldn't keep the anger out of his voice. You mean you're going to let them raid and pillage because it's easier than fighting? I mean, we follow established protocols that maintain galactic stability. Perhaps when humanity gains more experience with interstellar affairs, you will understand the wisdom of these policies. Jiwan cut the connection without another word. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. These were humans who had grown up hearing about alien superiority, alien wisdom, alien technology. Now they watched their captain face a choice between following alien law and protecting human lives. Helm, set course for Kepler 442b. Maximum speed. Sir. Weapons Officer Shin Ariam spoke up. The Valdari captain is right about galactic law. If we attack the Rakashi, we could face sanctions from all the major powers. Jiwan turned to face his crew. The aliens sold us garbage ships and expected us to be grateful. They use our people as cheap labor and call it cooperation. They watch. Pirates attack our colonies and call it cultural preservation. He paused, meeting the eyes of every officer on the bridge. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned that humans don't follow rules written by people who see us as expendable. The Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Immediately, the tactical sensors painted a clear picture of the situation. 6 Rakashi raiders surrounded the mining colony. 2 had landed on the planet's surface while 4 maintained orbit, ready to provide support or escape routes. Tactical analysis, Jiwan ordered. Lieutenant Ryunari, now serving as tactical officer, studied the sensor data. Rakashi ships are built for intimidation and cargo capacity, not serious combat. Light shields, minimal armor. Weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. They're used to fighting defenseless targets. What about their capabilities? Each ship masses about 60% of our displacement. Their energy weapons are low-powered pulse cannons. No missile systems. Their main advantage is speed and numbers. Engineer Park Minho called from his station. Captain, I'm reading massive energy spikes from the planetary surface. They're using some kind of orbital bombardment system to terrorize the colonists. On the main screen, Jiwan could see flashes of light on the planet's night side where the Rakashi were conducting their raid. Each flash represented homes destroyed, lives lost, families torn apart. The aliens called it cultural preservation. Jiwan called it murder. All hands, this is the captain, he announced over the ship's communication system. We're about to engage hostile forces in defense of human colonists. This will be our first real combat test. Make every shot count. The Indomitable accelerated toward the pirate formation. The Rakashi ships immediately began moving to intercept, confident in their numerical advantage. They had been raiding for decades without serious opposition. Sir, Ariam reported, the Rakashi are trying to communicate with us. Let's hear it. The main screen showed a Rakashi captain, his reptilian features twisted in what might have been amusement. Human vessel, you are interfering with legitimate salvage operations. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The only consequences here will be yours, Jiwan replied. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system. The Rakashi captain laughed, a harsh sound that the translator rendered as electronic, static. Foolish mammals, you fly one ship against 6. Your alien masters taught you nothing about space combat. Actually, Jiwan said, They taught us everything we needed to know. Helm, attack speed. Weapons, target the lead ship. What happened next would be analyzed by Galactic Intelligence Services for years to come. The Indomitable moved through the asteroid field surrounding Kepler 442b, with agility that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. Pilot Oh Jinwoo, trained on human atmospheric fighters, flew the massive vessel like it was an interceptor. The Rakashi fired first, their pulse cannons sending streams of energy toward the human ship. The bolts struck the Indomitable's shields and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that the pirates had never encountered. "Return fire," Jiwon ordered. The Indomitable's weapons spoke with a voice the galaxy had never heard before. Instead of the slow, ceremonial energy beams favored by most species, human weapons fired rapid pulses of concentrated plasma. The first Rakashi ship's shields collapsed in seconds. The second volley punched completely through its hull. "Target destroyed," Arium reported with satisfaction. The remaining Rakashi ships tried to scatter, but the Indomitable was faster than anything they had faced. Jinwoo threaded the ship between asteroids that would have crushed lesser vessels, bringing the human weapons to bear on target after target. The second pirate ship died when a spread of human missiles overwhelmed its point defense systems. The adaptive warheads reconfigured themselves mid-flight, turning what should have been glancing hits into devastating penetrations. The third ship tried to run for the system's edge, but the Indomitable deployed its secret weapon. Kinetic kill. Vehicles? Simple masses of metal accelerated to incredible speeds by the ship's overpowered drive systems. The impact turned the fleeing raider into an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. In 12 minutes, 4 Rakashi ships had been reduced to debris. The 2 remaining pirates, still on the planet's surface, abandoned their raid and fled into space. They broadcasted warnings on every frequency they could reach, screaming about the death ship and its psychotic human crew. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Jiwon's crew stared at their displays in amazement. They had expected a difficult fight against superior numbers. Instead, they had achieved total victory without taking a single hit. "Damage report," Jiwon called. "No damage, sir," Minho reported. "Shields are at 96%. All systems operating normally. Casualties? None, sir." Jiwon nodded slowly. The aliens had underestimated human technology, human tactics, and human determination. They had expected humanity to follow galactic law, to accept the established order, to know their place. "Communications. Get me the colony administrator." The screen showed a tired-looking woman with burns on her face and gratitude in her eyes. "Captain, I'm Administrator Song Minji. I can't thank you enough. The Rakashi it was horrible. Are your people safe now?" "Yes, sir. Thanks to you and your crew. But, sir, the galactic authorities won't like what you've done here. The Rakashi have protection under interstellar law." "Let the authorities complain," Jiwon replied. "Humans protect humans. The galaxy can adjust to that reality." On the edge of the system, Observer Vorthka watched the battle's aftermath with growing alarm. The human ship had achieved something that should have been impossible. 6 Rakashi raiders, destroyed in minutes by a single vessel that the Valdari had sold as obsolete scrap. He composed an urgent report to his superiors, but he knew they wouldn't believe it. No one would believe it until it was too late. The humans had taken the galaxy's garbage and forged it into an instrument of war that made established fleets look primitive. As the Indomitable departed Kepler 442b, it carried more than just the satisfaction of victory. It carried a message that would spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. Humanity was no longer content to accept the role assigned to them by alien powers. The students were about to become the teachers, and the first lesson was written in the wreckage of Rakashi ships drifting through space. Some predators the galaxy was about to learn made the mistake of hunting the wrong prey. 6 months after the Kepler incident, the galaxy buzzed with stories that most species dismissed as impossible. Tales of a single human ship destroying 6 Rakashi raiders. Reports of human technology that exceeded anything the established powers possessed. Warnings from pirate crews about death ships that appeared without warning and left only wreckage behind. Fleet Admiral Kim Sora stood, In the command center of Luna Base, watching displays that showed the deployment of humanity's growing fleet. 12 ships now carried human crews through space that had once been dominated by alien powers. Each vessel bore a Korean name that alien tongues struggled to pronounce, but they were learning to fear those names nonetheless. Admiral, Captain, Baek Do-hyun reported via quantum communication from the bridge of the Sejong. We've located the Thraxian slaver fleet in the Arcturus system, requesting permission to engage. Sora studied the tactical display. The Thraxians had been raiding human colonies for months, taking workers for their mining operations. The crystalline-skinned aliens claimed it was voluntary relocation for economic opportunity. But the reality was simple slavery. Permission. Granted, Captain. Show them what happens when they prey on humans. The Sejong dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Arcturus system. Captain Baek Do-hyun studied the sensor readings with grim satisfaction. 4 Thraxian heavy cruisers surrounded a convoy of transport ships filled with human captives. Tactical analysis, he ordered. Lieutenant Commander Han Minji, his tactical officer, studied the enemy formation. Thraxian ships rely heavily on their crystalline armor. It's designed to absorb and redirect energy weapons. Traditional plasma cannons and laser systems are almost useless against them. Almost useless, Do-hyun repeated. But not completely. Our modified disruptors should be able to penetrate their armor. Dr. Hiron's research suggested that the crystalline structure has specific resonance frequencies. If we can match those frequencies, the armor becomes a weakness instead of a strength. Do-hyun opened a communication channel to the Thraxian flagship. The alien commander appeared on screen, his crystalline features reflecting light in prismatic patterns that most species found beautiful. Humans just found them irritating. Thraxian vessel, you are holding human citizens against their will. Release them immediately. The Thraxian commander's laugh sounded like breaking glass. Foolish mammal. These workers signed contracts for extended service, all perfectly legal under galactic commerce regulations. Contracts signed at gunpoint aren't legal anywhere. Prove that in galactic court. Until then, withdraw your primitive vessel before you embarrass yourself. Do-hyun cut the connection. Around him, his crew prepared for battle with the cold efficiency that had become humanity's signature. No wasted motion, no dramatic gestures, just professional competence aimed at destroying the enemy as quickly as possible. All weapons target the flagship. Fire when ready. The Sejong's disruptors lanced out across space, their energy tuned to the precise frequency that would shatter Thraxian crystalline armor. The effect was spectacular. The Thraxian flagship's beautiful armor didn't just fail. It exploded outward in a shower of crystal fragments that sparkled like deadly stars. Target destroyed, Minji reported. The other Thraxian ships are breaking formation. But the Thraxians had nowhere to run. The Sejong was faster, more maneuverable, and armed with weapons specifically designed to counter their defenses. One by one, the proud crystalline ships died in brilliant explosions that lit up the Arcturus system. Meanwhile, in the Vega system, Commander Han Minji led a different kind of engagement from the bridge of the destroyer Teguki. The Zephyrian Empire had sent a battle group to investigate human activities in the region. 3 massive dreadnoughts that looked more like flying palaces than warships. They're trying to intimidate us, observed Lieutenant Park Junsu from the weapons station. Those ships are built for ceremony, not combat. Minji studied the ornate Zephyrian vessels through the tactical display. Everything about them screamed of a species more concerned with appearance than effectiveness. Golden hulls that gleamed in the starlight. Weapon arrays arranged for visual symmetry rather than tactical advantage. Shields that created beautiful light displays instead of maximum protection. Communications open a channel to the lead Zephyrian ship. The screen filled with the image of a Zephyrian admiral, his feathered crest raised in what was probably meant to be an intimidating display. Human vessel, you will submit to inspection by order of the Zephyrian Empire. On what authority? Minji asked. The authority of superior firepower and civilized law. Your species has been conducting illegal military activities. We are here to ensure compliance with galactic order. Minji looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were humans who had grown up being told they were inferior to aliens. Now they commanded technology that made alien fleets look like antiques. Admiral, I'm going to give you one chance to withdraw from this system. Consider it professional courtesy. The Zephyrian laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. One small human ship against 3 Imperial dreadnoughts? You must be suffering from atmospheric poisoning. Actually, I'm suffering from a lack of patience. Weapons, engage all targets. The Taiguki's attack was a masterpiece of human tactical doctrine. Instead of engaging the dreadnoughts in a direct confrontation, Minji used her ship's superior speed and maneuverability to strike at their weakest points. Human sensors had identified the power distribution nodes that kept the massive ships operational. The first dreadnought lost main power when precisely targeted missiles destroyed its primary reactor coupling. The second ship found its weapons offline after kinetic strikes severed its main fire control systems. The third vessel tried to retreat, but the Taiguki was already behind it, raking its engines with concentrated plasma fire. All 3 targets disabled, Park reported. No casualties on our side. Send a message to the Zephyrian Admiral, Minji ordered. Tell him that human space is off limits to Imperial interference. Next time we meet, we won't be so gentle. Back on Luna Base, Admiral, Sora watched reports flow in from across the galaxy. Human ships were engaging alien forces everywhere and winning with a consistency that shocked even their own crews. Dr. Choi Hyeran entered the command center, carrying a datapad filled with intelligence reports. The pattern is clear, she announced. Every major galactic power is discovering the same thing. Their technology is superior to ours in absolute terms, but they've forgotten how to use it effectively. Explain, Sora ordered. They've been the dominant powers for so long that they've stopped innovating. Their ships are built for show, their tactics are ceremonial, their strategies are based on intimidation rather than victory. They're fighting the last war, not the current one. Engineer Park Minho joined the discussion from his workstation. It's more than that, Admiral. We've captured technology from a dozen different species now. Every one of them has the same basic problem. They're afraid to push their equipment to its limits. They build everything with massive safety margins. Hyeran continued. Their weapons could be twice as powerful, their engines could be 3 times faster, their shields could be 4 times stronger. But they're so terrified of equipment failure that they never use their technology's full potential. Sora nodded slowly. While humans have been pushing our captured technology beyond what the original designers thought possible. Exactly. We took their garbage and made it better than their best ships. Now we're taking their best technology and making it into something they can't even comprehend. The truth was spreading across the galaxy faster than news of human victories. Every engagement revealed the same pattern. Human ships appeared without warning, struck with devastating effectiveness, and disappeared before alien forces could respond. The established powers were discovering that their technological advantage meant nothing against enemies who used that technology better than they did. Captain Li Jiwan, now commanding a small squadron of human ships, received new orders. While patrolling the frontier near Rigel, "Priority communication from Fleet Command," announced his communications officer. Admiral Sora's image appeared on the main screen. "Captain, we've received requests for assistance from 17 different human colonies. Pirate raids, alien, corporate inspections, Empire tax collection expeditions. The galaxy's powers are testing our response." "How do you want us to respond?" Jiwan asked. "By reminding them that humanity doesn't accept the old rules anymore. You have authorization to engage any hostile forces threatening human interests. No restrictions, no limitations." Over the following weeks, human ships appeared throughout the galaxy like deadly ghosts. Pirate fleets that had operated with impunity for decades found themselves hunted to extinction. Alien corporations that had used human workers as disposable labor discovered their facilities under attack by forces they couldn't match. Imperial patrols that had grown accustomed to bullying lesser species met ships that turned them into expanding clouds of plasma. The message was simple and brutal. Humanity would no longer tolerate being treated as inferiors. The galaxy could adapt to this new reality or be destroyed by it. In the depths, OCAP. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council on Nexus Prime had never hosted a meeting like this one. Representatives from 23 major civilizations filled the chamber, their varied forms creating a display of biological diversity that had once impressed younger species. Today, that diversity was united by a single emotion: fear. Ambassador Li Sanghyun walked through the council chambers with measured steps, his diplomatic escort trailing behind him. Outside the station, 5 human dreadnoughts maintained formation, in a display of power that made the council's own security forces look primitive. The ships hung in space like predators, their hull design speaking of function over form, efficiency over ceremony. The Valdari representative, senior counselor, Gorthak, stood at the speaker's podium with his slug-like features twisted in what might have been indignation. This was the same alien who had sold humanity those rusted warships 3 years ago, back when humans were just another primitive species in need of guidance. The human expansion must be contained, Gorthak declared, his voice carrying across the chamber through universal translators. In the past year alone, they have destroyed over 400 vessels belonging to legitimate galactic enterprises. They ignore established trade routes, violate territorial boundaries, and refuse to acknowledge the authority of elder civilizations. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Thraxian delegate, his crystalline features reflecting the chamber's lights, spoke next. The humans have disrupted our labor acquisition programs throughout the Outer Rim. Their attacks on our ships have cost thousands of lives and billions of credits in lost revenue. The Zephyrian ambassador raised her feathered crest in a gesture of imperial authority. The Empire demands immediate action. These primitives must be reminded of their place in the galactic order. We propose economic sanctions, territorial restrictions, and, if necessary, military action to contain their aggression. Ambassador Li listened to the accusations with the patience of a diplomat and the confidence of a species that had proven its strength. When the formal complaints ended, he rose from his seat and walked to the central platform. Honored delegates, he began, his voice calm and measured. You speak of human aggression as if it exists in a vacuum. Allow me to provide some context. He activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. The image showed a human mining colony under attack by Rakashi pirates. This is Kepler 442b, 18 months ago. Rakashi raiders attacking defenseless civilians while a Valdari patrol ship watched from a safe distance. The display changed to show Thraxian slavers loading human workers onto transport ships. The Arcturus system 1 year ago, Thraxian labor contractors taking human citizens at gunpoint while claiming legal authority. More images followed. Zephyrian fleets intimidating human colonies. Corporate aliens seizing human resources without compensation. Pirates raiding human settlements while alien authorities looked the other way. You complain about human aggression? Lee said, his voice carrying an edge that made several delegates shift uncomfortably. But where was your concern when humans were the victims? Where was galactic justice when your species treated humanity as a resource to be exploited? Senior Counselor Gorthak's features flushed darker. The humans were offered protection under standard galactic protocols. They chose to reject our guidance and pursue military solutions. Your protection was worthless, Lee replied bluntly. Your protocols allowed our people to be enslaved, murdered, and robbed while you debated procedure and jurisdiction. Humanity learned a valuable lesson from our interaction with galactic civilization. The only protection that matters is the protection you can provide for yourself. General Park Kyung-min, humanity's military attaché, stepped forward. His uniform bore the insignia of Earth's combined fleet, and his presence radiated the quiet confidence of a professional warrior. The delegates speak of containing human military expansion, he said. Perhaps they would like to see what they're proposing to contain. The holographic display shifted to show a real-time tactical overview of the galaxy. Hundreds of contact markers appeared, each one representing a human vessel. The delegates stared in shock as the scope of human deployment became clear. 237 active vessels, General Park announced. Each one capable of defeating multiple ships from any fleet represented in this chamber. Our industrial capacity is expanding exponentially. Every month, more ships emerge from human yards. The Zephyrian ambassador's crest flattened against her skull. Impossible. The humans have been in space for less than 50 years. No species can build a fleet that large so quickly. Dr. Song Yerim, humanity's chief scientist, smiled coldly. That's the difference between human and alien thinking. You build ships to last forever, to represent your civilization's glory, to follow traditions. Established millennia ago, we build ships to win wars. She activated another display showing the construction yards orbiting Earth and Luna. The massive industrial complexes dwarfed anything the galactic powers had ever attempted. Human yards operate continuously. No ceremonies, no artistic considerations. No political delays, pure efficiency aimed at a single goal, protecting human interests. The Thraxian delegate's crystalline skin shifted to darker hues. Even if your claims are true, you cannot stand against the combined might of the galactic powers. Our combined fleets number in the thousands. Your combined fleets are obsolete, General Park replied. Built for intimidation and ceremony, not warfare. Crewed by species that haven't fought a real war in centuries. Led by commanders who view battle as a political exercise rather than a life-or-death struggle. He gestured to the tactical display. Your ships are larger, more ornate, and more expensive than ours. They're also slower, less maneuverable, and far less effective in actual combat. You've forgotten how to fight because you've been the dominant powers for so long that you never had to learn. The chamber erupted in angry voices as delegates protested the human assessment. But their protests died away as Ambassador Lee activated one final display. Perhaps you'd like to see our latest achievement, he said. The holographic image showed a construction yard unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. In its center sat a ship so massive it made the council delegates personal. Vessels looked like shuttlecraft. The hull stretched for kilometers, bristling with weapon systems that defied easy categorization. The Juggernaut-class dreadnought, Dr. Song announced. Our first ship designed entirely from human principles, incorporating technology from every species we've encountered. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Even the translator systems seemed to pause as the implications sank in. How many? Whispered the Valdari. Counselor. The first is nearing completion, Lee replied. Construction has begun on 12 more. Our projections suggest we can build one every 3 months once full production begins. The Zephyrian ambassador found her voice first. What do you want? Recognition, Lee said simply. Recognition that humanity is no longer a client species to be exploited and controlled. Recognition that human space is sovereign territory. Recognition that the old galactic order has changed. And if we refuse? Asked the Thraxian delegate. General Park's smile was cold as space itself. Then you'll learn what happens when you try to cage a species that has evolved to fight. The debates continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. The galactic powers could choose to accept humanity as an equal, or they could face a war they couldn't win against an enemy they couldn't understand. One by one, the delegates agreed to humanity's terms, trade agreements that favored human interests, territorial boundaries that recognized human sovereignty, military restrictions that limited alien operations in human space. As the session ended, Ambassador Lee walked through the corridors of Nexus, Prime with quiet satisfaction. 3 years ago, aliens had sold humanity rusted warships and expected gratitude. Today, those same aliens negotiated for their species' survival. The galaxy had taught humanity that strength was the only currency that mattered among the stars. It was a lesson they had learned well, and now it was time for their teachers to experience what it meant to be weak. Outside the station, human dreadnoughts waited in formation, their presence a reminder that the balance of power had shifted, forever. The students had become the masters, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, construction continued on humanity's next generation of warships. The Juggernaut-class vessels would be just the beginning. Humanity had tasted dominance, and they found they liked the flavor. The aliens had sold them garbage and expected dependency. Instead, They had forged humanity's path to supremacy. The galaxy would kneel before the Juggernaut they had unwittingly created, or it would burn in the fires of human ambition. Either way, the age of alien dominance was over,